Hello, welcome back to the channel. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in, all that fun stuff. I'm currently sitting next to a pond in the middle of a park because I can't find a good spot to film, and I've been walking around for a while, so figured I'd just sit down, have a chat to you, tell you some tips about film photography that I've learnt after 4 years. So first tip that I can think of that's going to be very beneficial for new starters in photography in general is to get a prime lens. So prime lenses are just fixed focal length lenses, generally with a lower aperture, so it can shoot wide open, get more lights. The benefit of shooting with a prime lens is that your feet are now your zoom. So you physically have to move around and interact with your scene, gets you thinking more creatively. Shooting with a prime lens just provides this bokeh that makes your photos look more professional and gives you a nice soft black background blur to really isolate your subject. Interacting with your scene is going to give you more creative results too. So physically moving around, getting different angles rather than posting up and just zooming in and out on your subjects. It's really going to exercise your photographic eye and shoot you forward in your photographic journey. Next tip is it's okay to edit your film. I totally get why you want to keep your film unedited. You went to the effort of choosing the film stock, you went to the effort of loading your camera, you went to the effort of sending it to the lab for development, and you've gone through all this effort to get the result that you've got using your film camera. But if you leave your photos unedited, you could be leaving some results on the table. Generally, labs will send you back a very flat scan, giving you the ability to edit your film and push it in a way that you want it to look. Another tip that I've learnt is that you don't have to shoot wide open all the time. You've gone to the effort of getting a prime lens. It can shoot at f1.8, it can shoot at f2. However, most prime lenses are going to be sharpest around f8 or f11, in fact. Doing this will give you more detail within your subjects and also leaves more room for error should you miss your focus, since more of your subject is going to be in focus anyway. Even if you do want that creamy bokeh that falls off in the background, even shooting at f4 is going to give you some bokeh as well. So don't always shoot wide open if you don't have to. My next tip is to master your camera system before you go and buy a new system. Chances are your first film camera is a 35mm SLR, and entering the world of film photography, you're gonna really love the cameras themselves, just like I do. It's very easy to get sucked down a rabbit hole of buying new gear. However, once you learn your system through and through, you're really going to start to elevate your photos. You're going to have more opportunity to grab photos that you love because your camera is now just an extension of your eye or your arm. So master your system before you go and grab a new one. Knowing your current system is going to give you a better purchasing guideline on what you want out of your next camera system. If you want a certain feature that your current system doesn't have, you can now buy a camera that has that feature, and you're going to be a happier photographer in general. The next tip is to shoot different film. Get familiar with what the different characteristics of what different film stocks can provide you. Only shooting one type of film is going to leave a lot on the table, especially delving into this whole world of film photography. Kodak Gold is going to look completely different to what Cinestill 800T would look like, and Portra 400 is going to look different to what Ilford's HP5 is going to look like too. So knowing different characteristics of film is going to give you the results that can really, really inspire and get you out shooting more. The next tip is, if in doubt, overexpose. Metering in film photography is very important. It's very important in photography in general. With film, however, you want to overexpose your film more than you want to underexpose. The reason why you want to overexpose is because on your film negative, if you underexpose, there is physically no information on that film negative anymore. You can't go back and just lift it in post because physically on your film negative, there's no information. Whereas if you're shooting on digital, you can pull the shadows, you can pull the highlights, all that sort of stuff. It's kind of opposite in that regard if you're used to shooting on digital. Film will handle highlights better anyway, and most of the time people go for that dreamy look, so overexposing is going to keep you safe from photos that you cannot recover at all. The next tip is a quick one. Make sure your camera's loaded. I've fallen victim to this. An easy way to tell if your 35mm SLR camera is loaded is that if you advance the film lever, the rewind knob should move as well. Don't be like me and shoot an entire 36 roll of film and have 0 photos because it was completely empty. Just because your camera is showing that it's got 36, 1, 5 photos in it doesn't mean it's loaded. Just advancing the lever will actually tick over the shutter counter on the camera itself. So make sure to check if your camera is loaded. The next tip is one that I've actually started to put into practice now, and it's actually given me a bit more purpose with film photography in general, and that is to give yourself a project. So film project, although it's quite hard to pick what a good project could be, it could be as simple as street signs, it could be as simple as a color, it could be as simple as a shape. Anything that gives your work a bit more body and purpose to go out and shoot is gonna really elevate and make sure you go out and shoot more. Next tip is that 90% of your first few shots are never gonna be great. What do I mean by this? So even just starting film photography, it's gonna be a completely new beast for photographers in general if you've never shot film. Most of them aren't gonna turn out great, and just because it's shot on film doesn't mean it's gonna be a great photo, and that is totally okay. An easy way to get into the zone when you are out shooting is to just take photos on your phone even. It kind of warms up your creative juices and trains your eye to look in ways that you want it to look right now. Film is definitely not a cheap medium either, so if you can get more usable photos out of each roll of film, that's a massive win. So just trying to warm up is a good way to save on money as well as get better photos. And lastly, shoot what you love. So this is one of my favorite tips. I see it very often that people will try and niche down. Everybody needs a niche. Everywhere you go in a creative sphere is niche, niche, niche. However, if you're just starting out in photography or film photography, you want to get out and shoot as much as possible. And niching down sort of gives yourself barriers and rules about what you want to film or what you want to paint or photograph. It's very easy in your journey to just start and say, I want to be a landscape photographer, for example. I'm only going to shoot landscapes and that's my work and that's all I shoot. However, doing this sort of builds a barrier between you and maybe automotive photography or portraiture or macro or astrophotography, anything like that. So shoot what you love to shoot and just shoot a lot. Your body of work will eventually tell you what you like to shoot. Your body of work will eventually tell you what you like to shoot, and that's a better space to be in because now you're not thinking about, oh, I can only shoot landscape, oh, I can only do portraits. So shoot what you love, it'll get you out shooting more and you'll enjoy it more. That's the heart of it. So those are all the tips that I've got for you, film photographers or anybody who really cares about this sort of stuff right now. Hopefully you've learned something and can take away some of my knowledge from the past number of years that I've been shooting film. These birds are going wild. If you can hear that, I'm sorry. This park is so full of life, it's awesome. Please let me know any tips that you have learnt over your years of film photography so that I can avoid them and just become better as well down in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and all that sort of thing, you know, YouTube stuff. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something. See you in the next one. Cannot. Oh man. Far out. It's so hard. Current system cannot do. God, this is so hard. That was crazy. People walked by and I just kind of ignored them and nobody even cared. So go me, I'm growing. Using a film lever even with a stupid Ricer Civic. What am I trying to say, bro?